Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Universe. We are back with another mock draft after a brief hiatus. It seems like this week, all of us have gone right off the rails here. We've had various family commitments, so I guess we had to get it all out of the way before we get ready for week one. I know I'm on vacation, and I'm never busier than when I'm on vacation. I was saying yesterday, I think I have to go back to work. I can't survive any more vacations. So I've been over dealing with the expo and kids' birthday parties, and then trying to get some of our written content ready to go for week one, which is now, what's that, like 10 days away, 2 weeks away, something like that. What's up, Jamie? How's it going?
Yo.
How's it going, Jamie? How you been doing?
Yeah, it's good. And same thing. I'm on vacation. I'm in the States, so that's been good seeing family, but it's always busy being back here. So
where in the States are you?
So we were in New York. Right now we're in Massachusetts. We're in Martha's Vineyard. It is raining outside, so couldn't bring on full-on Hollywood Jack just yet. But I'm sequestered to the basement of this house that we're renting. So we'll get there. But as of right now, yeah, it's just been a whirlwind before week one. But ready for some football.
Gotcha. I should have picked up on that earlier. I've been out of touch all week, like I said, doing various things. And you said you're trying to be in one place for couple of days here. So, I got you. You're in the States for one place. You are not actually at home. Sir. So that makes some sense. So we are going to run today your standard 10-round mock draft. Do you need more people for the mock? Yeah, if you can get anyone in, Jamie. Do we have the link? One sec. I can try and post it. Give me a second. I'll post it on the YouTube stream.
I got you.
If you got it? Okay. Yep. We'll give it a minute or so for you to get in here. I'm retweeting the show anyway. So we have been off for a week and we are not in mid-season form exactly. So we'll take a second here. Like I said, it's only we're only going to go 10 rounds, single QB, because I don't know about you. I find at this point in the year, I mean, I'm exhausted from super flex leagues. I don't want to do anymore. But I find this time of year, like I've got some family members, some coworkers who've been Jamie, there's the link, who've been asking for, advice and help with their drafts coming up. Not a single one of them is super flex. So when you said this originally, I said, we should do super flex. Everything is super flex. And then I forgot what time of the year. We're into the casual draft season here. So it's time for everyone to get in and do some single QB. I guess we'll wait until we see Jamie join here. 1, 2, 3.
Let's there we go.
Big game. Yeah, okay, that's him.
Gotta be. But real quick on a recap before we kick off. So it's 1 QB, it's 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers start, as that's usually how a lot of platforms run it. 3 flex positions, 1 tight end, of course, and we're going full PPR and no tight end premium.
All right, and it's you in control, so you can queue it up whenever you are ready.
Yep, we're going to kick it off right now. Here we go. It cooperates. There it is.
All right. And here we go.
We're both at the back end. What are you thinking here at the back end of your drafts? Are you trying to, double tap wide receiver early back there? Or are you thinking about an earlier running back? What do you like at the 112?
You know what the funny part is? I picked this in the mock because I feel like I didn't get a late draft position ever. Like all season, I'm in like the 1 through 4, 1 through 5. So I just said, screw it. I don't really know what I'm doing, but so I've been working on some of the articles we've got coming out for the draft kit. And so I've been doing a lot of ADP stuff. And the one thing I have noticed here, the value I found in the first few rounds has been running back for me. The wide receivers, like I remember, this seems to be cyclical. Like 3 to 5 years ago, all we did was it was running back. Everyone hammered running back. Now it's the exact opposite. Now everyone's hammering wide receiver. And I find the running backs are really going. I'm at the point now where I'm not going to say who I want here, depending on who you take, but there's probably only one more running back I really want with a first-round grade, and then I would take him to wide receiver. You are taking.
I was going to take him, but I'm going to go Garrett Wilson. I think Justin Jefferson's a monster, but the other guy I was looking for was Gibbs, who's your Lions guy. But Garrett Wilson over Justin Jefferson, just with Sam Darnold there. I know Jefferson's going to eat, but Wilson has the ability to just absolutely explode this year. So I'm just going upside.
Actually, that was not my pick. My pick is still on the board. My pick was not Gibbs. Gibbs I've downgraded to the beginning of the second round. That injury worries me. Those hamstrings linger. So I have gone Jonathan Taylor here.
I like it.
Having said that, the last of the players I really wanted is Gibbs. So I'm going to do something I haven't done. It seems like it's 2019 again. I'm going to go RB robust running back to start here.
Love it.
And I didn't see that coming.
I love it. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think, especially at the back end, like you were saying, the value is in the running backs. So it's really hard to pass up that value. If Gibbs were healthy, I think he probably fits right there. And, he should be healthy moving forward. We'll see. My pick here right now, I got Garrett Wilson. I am going to double tap wide receiver, but it might not be the wide receiver you expect. I'm not super sold on Marvin Harrison with an explosion this year. He's going to be great, but I'm going Drake. I think Drake London just has it all set up. We know that he's there, and we've got a couple of guys who we've seen do it, and now with improved quarterback situations. So I think they're going to smash this year.
For me, my picks was a tier-based thing where I got to – I think there's there's six, maybe five wide receivers I really like in the first round, and then there's 5 or 6 running backs I really like in the first round. I always seem to have one fall to me. In this case, I had 2 of them, so I don't mind that. But now it's kind of a murky spot where I really don't know where I want, and there's no third-round reversal here, so – this could be a while getting back to me. Right, where are we?
Yeah, there goes Pat Mahomes and Kelsey. That's an interesting stack. That's a little early, I think, in a 1 QB for Mahomes, but I also think he's going to throw 50 touchdowns once again this season. So, if you're going to take Mahomes, if you're going to take one quarterback early this year, I think it's Mahomes.
I'm sure, having said that, that's the 212. By the time it would have gotten back to him at the 412, I'm going to go out of my way and assume that there are 4 quarterbacks off the board. As my child decides he so desperately needs chips that he's going to dig through the bag next to me to get a bag of fucking chips. We have a big bag for his birthday party of chips, and they're sitting right next to my computer, and he so desperately needed them, apparently. So my apologies for that interruption in the background, guys.
You got to get what you got to get. We've been talking about this guy all off season. It seems like everybody's talking about him. There's some interesting wide receiver and tight end values on the board. I am going for my first running back. I am taking Devon Achane. I just think he and Raheem Mostert both are going to absolutely smash, do at least what they did last year. Achane should get, a bump in usage, and that means that here as the RB, 10, 11, 12 off the board. I love that value.
This absolutely is the point in the draft that scares the living shit out of me. The third round, there aren't a lot of players I love. Right now, there's a couple as my dog. This is why I haven't podcasted all week. It's been a carnival here. I am not sure who I want on the clock, so I guess I'm going to go with Debo. The sad part is the player I liked best on the board there was another running back, but I don't really want to start 3 running backs. So, I went Debo, and for me, I'm going to pass on Waddle and Moore, and I just find I like Pittman a little bit more. I don't know. I just less competition there. I don't know. I'm a Pittman guy. Not sure why. It just always seems to be that way.
I love Pittman, especially with Downs going down. There's just more open targets. I personally would have gone Waddle Pittman there, but it's just your preference. With Debo, you can't really go wrong in that San Francisco offense, especially if Ayuk eventually moves on. I don't know if that's going to happen at this point, but someone goes down and Debo becomes an absolute monster. This one's a little tricky. I still have a lot of tight end value that I love on the board. I'm going to go ahead and take a leap of faith here. Actually, no, I'm not. I was considering Malik Neighbors. I'm so concerned about that quarterback room. So I just went DK Metcalf this year, who I am not concerned about at all.
But see, and that's kind of been the theme here with me for round 3 or 4. 1 and 2, I have the running backs and wide receivers that I know I want. But come round 3 and 4, there's a lot of players where there's questions. Achan, not sure if it's all him. There's 8 Houston receivers here. There's some old guys who are looking to bounce back. So I never really know who to go with. So I find I gravitate towards the guys that I think are the safer options, which is why I have a ton of Pittman. I just find Pittman safe, Metcalf safe, Waddle safe. The Houston guys, I think the Houston receivers probably have the most upside. They are also probably the riskiest players on the board at that ADP because 3 of them going in rounds, 3-4 here. I expect one of them to probably be a heavy bust at that cost. So,
it's too early for me on those guys, but Stroud is another guy I have complete faith in. Let's talk quickly about Jamie's team since he's here. I'll try and he's got Lamb, he's got Olave. He said he wanted Derrick Henry at that pick instead of Olave. I understand that completely. I think Olave is a nice consolation prize. However, even with the terrible Derek Carr, then he's got Pacheco, Devonta Smith, and Kenneth Walker. So I love that start there. I'm going to go ahead and look for a tight end for myself. I've got the last one that I'm super comfortable on, and I am stacking Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to take Kyle Pitts. With Ayuk in town, Kittle, I don't love anymore. Evan Ingram, I'm okay with. But Pitts is that last guy here. As you can see, the other tight ends went off the board. So I'm happy with him there in the 5th as the last guy that I really like.
Henry is another one, as we have here from Jamie, where I have him in that safe tier. I agree with this. This was a reach, but it's an auto pick, so computer going to do what computer do. I do not love exactly what you said because that's not true. I was going to say Kittle was the last guy, but it's not. I have Evan Ingram as the last guy in that tier for me. So I 100% do not hate that. Having said that, what I was hoping for here was I figured there was no way Anthony Richardson goes before it gets back to me and I could stack him. Yeah. But Anthony Richardson went in the 5th round, and that's that I wasn't expecting that. I thought I could take him with my 2nd pick here. So I guess I'm going to go quarterback here and improvise. There are 2 more what I think are elite quarterbacks, so I took one there. Otherwise, I was just going to pass and take some of the – looks like there's some wide receiver value right now, so.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it goes. You have to always gauge what's happening in these drafts. If you look at it here, tight ends are going fast and furious now. So the rest of the value is being punted down the board. I do like some of the running backs here, but it's probably a little much, and there's still a ton of great wide receiver value. I could go T. Higgins. I don't know if I'm so comfortable with that. I'm going to go ahead and take a reach on a guy who I think is probably the same as T. Higgins at this stage, and is Rome Odunze. Jesse has been screaming from the rooftops about Rome Odunze since January, since we started all of this. And he's just looked phenomenal. Caleb Williams has looked phenomenal. I think he probably just hits the ground running. This offense is going to cook.
That is hilarious because I disagreed with pretty much everything you and him just said. I love Odunze's talent. I have him easily the lowest of the 3 here, and I think there's just far too many new pieces. These teams where there's this many new pieces don't hit the ground running, like you said. They tend to take some time to gel, which for me is scary as shit because if you look, the Bears need to win early. Their first month schedule, when I was doing my strength of schedule matrix there,
it's not good.
No, their first month is easy, is when it is. After that, it's the exact opposite. After that, it turns into utter chaos. So I think the Bears need to hit the ground running to gain some confidence because it's only going to get harder as it goes along. But I am, just like I said, I think that in Dave Richard here, he talked me out of a lot of the Bears, so specifically the running backs, but I guess nobody's really in on the running backs. But the Bears, I think in one of the articles I just wrote up, they are my most avoided team because I just think all the players are being very overvalued. I don't want a rookie quarterback for fantasy. I think we're spoiled over the last few years. I don't think it happens again. And honestly, the receiver I have the most of for the Bears is Keenan Allen because he's the cheapest normally. And I think he's at very least the wide receiver 2 on the team. I don't think he's completely dead, but
I've definitely seen one too many Caleb Williams off platform, rotating his shoulders in the air and hucking it 40 yards downfield complete. to a wide receiver, and the latest one was Roma Dunze. So, Caleb Williams just looks like the absolute real deal. And, I would be shocked at this point if he fails just with the limited stuff that I've seen him doing in preseason. I know it's against non-starters, but the guy has it.
The guy I wanted was just taken there. One of the guys. I wanted Rashee Rice. He is looking like he's going to be the best option there in KC. I think he's had an insane target share. Hollywood's going to be out 6 weeks. Worthy's a rookie. That is definitely where I was going to go. I still wanted Deontay Johnson. I also wanted Chris Godwin, who was gone. It's getting a little tougher because a lot of the guys, I had this definitive, I think we've had this conversation. I had a definitive, I'm going to stop talking 1 sec. Don't mind me. I'll go with Zach Moss. Sorry, I was going to talk myself right off the clock, but I had a definitive, pecking order once we got to round 6 here where I went, this player, this player, this player, this player. It was like I had them in every single one of my drafts. But the problem is we've had a couple of them. Godwin's been getting steamed up out of my reach lately. I've still been getting Deontay. Rice has been getting a little higher up. And then the next group of guys I had some late round guys in Tracy, Vidal. Those guys have fallen right off the board because of preseason issues. And then we had Jerome Ford. He's another one I target. He seems to be going up. The one I'm just noticing here, and I know it's an auto pick, I wish I had seen it when I was on the clock instead of taking Dak. Najee Harris at the 703 is great value with Jalen Warren looking like he's hurt. And the Steelers are another one. In my strength of schedule, the Steelers were pretty much best matchup across the board for the first month of the season at every single position. So the Steelers, I think, are awesome. Even if you just draft Najee to sell high after October ends or September ends, it could be great.
Yeah, especially with that Jalen Warren injury, we're just getting the running back pool thinning out as usual. It's only going to get thinner. And that's kind of why I took Jonathan Brooks. We know he's going to be out for the first month of the season, most likely. Hopefully they take their time with him, and hopefully he comes back with relatively 100% by midseason. But Javonte Williams is getting all the steam, and I think it's mostly because Bo Nix looks decent. The rest of the running backs look crappy over there. And so Javonte is really the last man standing, but he's also been getting kind of the hype as Mr. Reliable anyway over there. So I don't love the Denver offense, but I think it could be better than we think. And if Javonte is a clear number one, then he's a steal in the 8th round.
We see 2 more picks on the turn there that have been picks I've taken a lot in this range, where it gets to the I don't really love anyone. I've had a lot of Keon Coleman. I've got a lot of JSN. I just think they're guys where if they bust, they're probably going to be flex-worthy players. If they hit, there's a ton of upside, like they could be league-winning upside here. So they've just been the guys in this range where I'm like, I don't really like any of these guys. Give me him. So,
yeah. I love JSN. I think Keon Coleman has the opportunity. I don't know if he's going to seize it. We'll have to see. But JSN, I think, is set for a pretty big year. I'm not sure what that looks like in fantasy terms, but he will take a step forward, I think.
So I got my Jerome Ford. All the players that I wanted with my last pick, Coleman, JSN, Najee, Spears, Eckler, they're all gone with the exception of one that I think here. I'm going to take me a flyer on Chase Brown to close out my draft, and then I'll bring the board back up. I don't know. At this point, it's just kind of guys I'm looking for upside. I think here's one that I missed. Raheem Mostert in the 8th round, I think, is great value. I am not the Devon Achane guy. I just don't think he takes over. The other one I liked was Austin Eckler in the 9th. Like, I get that it's a new team and he wants a lower role, but he's still been a freaking stud. So I don't think he's a stud now, but I think he's probably a low-end RB2 or at least flex-worthy. And then I like the pick he paired with it with Jamison Williams. That's another one of the guys where I put him with Keon Coleman, JSN, that group there, Chase Brown, Tyjae Spears, where they could be useless, but if they hit, there's just so much upside there.
Yeah.
I really like those picks.
Yep. I agree with you. I almost took Caleb Williams in the 9th round. Like I said, money where my mouth is, but he was stolen from me by the auto pick. I think we have a lot of QBs. Obviously, Team 6 took 2 with the auto pick, so we have a lot of teams who probably wouldn't look exactly like this. The auto pick does some crazy things sometimes, but at the same time, it's interesting to think about, the fact that look, you're going to get some crazy picks in your leagues as well. So you just play the board and whatever's available to you.
I do look like that. It looks like every team drafted a legal lineup. I like that, especially in mocks. I get the strategy of not drafting a kicker and a defense in a real draft and then picking them up before week one. But in a mock, I like to play nicely. And I like that every
Yeah,
team is padded out well. It always looks ridiculous. It's like, oh, the tight ends are way off here because nobody drafted a tight end, and team 11 just drafted 12 receivers. Having said that, look at team 11 here where they go five
yeah,
receivers in a row. That's an interesting build. And then punt, quarterback, and tight end till the 9th and 10th. I don't hate Tua. I do hate Dallas Goedert, so that's not necessarily the range I would have liked to go. But I can tell you one thing. I find that after David Njoku, I really wish I had gotten a tight end. I don't mind Jake Ferguson, but I don't really want
yeah,
Bowers. I don't want Hawkinson. I don't want Schultz. I don't want Goddard. So it's
yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's that? 9 for me. So it's 9 tight ends or bust. Bowers, I guess, is the 10 if you missed one. Pray
Yeah.
he takes over as a rookie, but
Yeah, and I agree with you. But I would just add Ferguson just because he goes so late. I mean, Jamie said he was punting tight end, and I think if you are punting tight end, that's the one guy that you can get, and hopefully somebody doesn't take him a little bit earlier than that. But in the 9th round with that build, I think that's the perfect guy to get. I don't know that there's many other tight ends later that I'm interested in. Maybe Tyler Conklin. He's like the only other guy I can think of. Ben Sinnott has looked great in limited work. No surprise here at the FFU. But the problem is just going to be, is he going to get the workload with Zach Ertz there? And we're still a bit skeptical there.
there's a couple of guys I do like late. Like I like Sinnott, I like Jatavian Sanders really late, but they're not guys I want to start. For me, out
Yeah.
of the tight ends, I did include Ferguson. It's 10 really. I guess if I really punt, you know what? I don't even like Goddard and Schultz here. I would have taken Freiermuth. Someone I thought I was going to have a ton of was Hawkinson. I thought I would be, I'm going to just take him in the 14th or 15th round. Oh, Hubbard's a good pick here. I like that. I thought I would take him in the 14th or 15th round. And then the last half of the season, I'm just going to start 2 tight ends. But Hawkinson, this is late for him. Like he's been going 8, 9, and 10. I'm not paying that for him. So I think there's 10. I guess maybe there's 12 if you want to include, for me, like I said, I'm higher on Freiermuth unless Ayuk goes there. But let's check out the quarterbacks here. Where's your cutoff line? I'm comfortable all the way to, I think, Jordan Love, Brock Purdy zone here for me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's another spot where I'm really comfortable. Same as tight end. I'm really comfortable with 9 or 10. Then there's 1 or 2 where I don't mind them. And then, like, I don't know if I want Williams or Daniels as my starting QB early on in the season. I'd like to, like, if I'm drafting them, I'm pairing them with a Kirk Cousins and a Matt Stafford, someone boring. But I think the tight end quarterback seems to be the same. There's 10 that I'm really, really comfortable with. So I'll wait a little, like not taking the high end ones. But once I get to this range, right around the 9 or 10, I'm making sure I grab my guy before it's, I'm going to have to pair 2 of them together. What are your thoughts on QBs?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's really hard in one QB to justify taking both a tight end and quarterback early. At least you have a situation this season where you can do that because, like you said, there's only those elite guys. But, if you are going to go outside and do one of these guys late, I want to bet on a rookie. So Caleb Williams, like I was just talking about, has looked great in preseason. Jaden Daniels is getting all the hype, has looked really good in preseason. But not only can these guys throw the ball, they can run the football. And when you're talking about those rushing quarterbacks, like we saw Anthony Richardson do it, even though it was a limited sample. So now you see A Rich goes in the 5th round, right? You're telling me that in the 10th round, end of the 9th, 10th, I can get a rookie who could have similar production to Richardson, or what we expect Richardson to do this season, later down the board, absolutely. So I'm all in on those guys. If you're waiting later, I don't want to wait later necessarily. I love, for example, Jamie has Kyler Murray there. I love that pick. Murray's such a value this season. So I'm really happy with him where he's going. But if I am waiting and punting and taking my early tight end, which I almost always am at this stage, then yeah, I'm comfortable with, like you said, a Caleb or Jaden, whoever falls to me, and then you go and back it up with ideally Matt Stafford, if not Kirk Cousins, or even an Aaron Rodgers super late, and I think you'll be okay.
I wish I had done this mock draft earlier in the offseason because I'm typically a quarterback, tight end, early-ish kind of guy. Or like I have a lot of teams where I came through the first four with a rainbow, running back, wide receiver, tight end, QB. I went 5th and 6th round on my tight end and quarterback here, and this may be the team I like most of any team I've drafted in a long time. I like it. And if you look, especially like the top guys, I think I just took the value in the safe plays. Then I got the last of the quarterback and tight end tier I got. And then from round 7 to 10, that's pretty much you. We were talking about doing a My Guys episode. I'm just going to clip round 7, 8, 9, and 10 for me. You don't even have to research it. There's my My Guys right there. I just went right on brain. Like if you could add Chris Godwin in there or a few others, that's pretty much the My Guy brand there. Obviously, we've seen, like I said, for me, for running back and wide receiver, it's a really nice tier through the end of the first round. Even the middle of the second round. The second round, I find there's some good running back value. ETN, Henry, Jacobs, Pacheco falling. Those are the guys I like. I don't mind ETN. I'm not big on Williams. That one scares me. But round 3 is where I found it really got scary. And I think we said this earlier. I have gone with the safe guys, the Evans, Debo, Pittman, Waddle, DK, guys like that, because I find like there's a lot of risky guys. We don't know what Kupp has left. Nico, Achane scares me. Diggs scares me. DJ Moore scares me. I love James Cook as the running back in this range. Cook and White are easily my favorite running backs in like a 4-round stretch here, but it really gets ugly in round 3 and 4. And I think a lot of drafts are going to be won and lost in this range here of 3, 4, 5, because there's a lot of guys teetering on the age cliff. There's a lot of guys in committees and time splits where there's too many mouths to feed. So I think that's also why we see running or a tight end quarterback went the heaviest in this little stretch right here where people were like, I'm not really convinced on any of these running back wide receiver options. So I'll just take a quarterback or a tight end I love, and then I'll get whoever falls to me. But this round right here, 3, 4, 5, I think these rounds, this is where the meat of your draft is, and this is where the seasons are going to be won or lost. Any takeaways for you?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The one thing I'll say is that if you're forced to start 3 wide receivers, I want at least 2 wide receivers in those top 4 rounds. As you can see in the top 4 rounds, I took all 3 of my starting wide receivers. It doesn't mean that you have to approach it that way, but I really think that you need to go out and get wide receiver early. If you are not, even you took those 2, you and Team 11, who of course was auto drafted, took those 2 running backs early, but then you backed it up with 2 wide receivers. I really think that's the way you have to go. If we look at the scripts by James, who was another guy who was drafting in here, he took Brees and Derrick Henry. You back it up with Cooper Kupp, but then your next wide receiver that you're taking is T. Higgins. Now, I love the value of Godwin. Watson, super interesting. AD Mitchell has been looking great and has an opportunity. So those are great guys to support, but that's really, you're playing a little bit with fire, I think, in 3 wide receiver, because you really need 2 of those guys to hit and hit well. If they do, you're going to be great with McBride and A-Rich, but you're still going to be playing around to fill 2 wide receiver slots all season. So that's why I want to get those top guys in there early, and I want at least 2. I only want to play with 1 wide receiver spot personally.
See, I agree with what you're saying, but for me, this is where discipline came in at the 1-2 turn here, because I agreed. I really wanted a receiver, but the problem for me was I wanted Lamb, Hill, St. Brown, Chase, Jefferson, maybe AJ Brown. That was where I cut it off. Then that was my top tier for receiver. My top tier for running back was McCaffrey, Hall, Bijan, and Taylor. Kind of Gibbs as the tweener there. So then it just became, I took Taylor and Gibbs because they were higher up on the board for me than Wilson. I have Wilson in the next tier. So had one of these two been gone, I would have taken Wilson or Nakua. It just, like I said, I'm never, well, it's been years since I've been the robust running back guy because we've all gotten away from that. But this is how kind of fantasy football is cyclical like this, where everyone's buying in so heavy now to the wide receiver, that at some point, running back, like when I'm looking through, running back is the value here. Barkley and Taylor. Then there's 3 or 4 I like in the second round. Then in the third round, I love Pacheco. I don't mind Achane if you're an Achane guy. The fourth round, my favorite guys were Pittman, but then White and Cook. The fifth round, I like Mixon there. I like Kamara. I don't mind Jones. Like, we go 5 or 6 rounds where if I had to pick one player, Najee Harris in the 7th, the running backs are just being punted because, you know, there's 10 quarterbacks, 10 tight ends that everyone wants, tons of receivers. Everyone's just loading up on receivers. And I think people are getting receiver happy. And I've had more running back heavy teams than ever before, which I don't ever end with running back heavy teams because they're landmines because one of them is inevitably going to get hurt. But so what I'll do is, a build like this, well, not necessarily for me because I didn't have that many high-end ones, but if I'm running back heavy, the first thing I look to do is trade with the team that's wide receiver heavy. Wide receiver question on Jeremy Chin. Do you think he gets back to his old self? Need a final DBS. I loved him. Washington now? Washington?
Yep. Washington with Dan Quinn. So, I mean, Jeremy Chin's going to step in and be that. I'm trying to think who it was in Dallas last year. Was it Marquise Bell or was it one of those like tweener DBs who are really playing some sort of linebacker pull up close to the line of scrimmage role? Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Chin should do it. He's got to be healthy. But I think he's going to be the guy that Dan Quinn utilizes in that role. And that's a monster role if the guy stays healthy all season.
He was the best guy on that Carolina defense. I think when he's healthy, he's elite. So as your final DB, I don't mind that. I have a lot of IDP leagues where I've taken shots on Jeremy Chin, and he's available everywhere because he's buried so far down the board. So I think at your cost of whatever final DB is, I assume that's pretty far down the board. I think at that point, it's one of those where if it doesn't work out after a couple of weeks, you can cut him and you don't lose anything. But if he hits, he's a potential, top 10 at the position. So I love Jeremy Chin. That's a great one.
And I can't think of any other Commanders defensive back like safety. I don't even know who they have. So I think Chin is your
none that are fantasy relevant. I don't think. I'm trying to think myself here.
I'm looking them up. Let's see. Sane Strill, so rookie from the second round, he's playing nickel.
Mikey Sanders,
Quan Martin, who's apparently going to start, who was a second rounder last year, playing the free. I think it's Chin by far there, and Bobby Wagner is manning the middle with Luvu on the outside. So those guys are tackle monsters. So that could be an issue, but I really think that Chin is going to be your guy, unless you want to take a chance on the rookie in the slot.
I liked Mikey Sanders still out of Michigan, but I don't know. That's a really good system they run there. I don't know if it translates. I'm looking through here if there's any. I'm just running through the depth chart here. Off the top of my head, I couldn't think of any other Washington Commanders that I really liked. So, Daron Payne, but that's a DT. Mikey Sanders still. Bobby Wagner, like you said, if you need a linebacker. I think, it's pretty much Jeremy Chin here. Strong safety. Oh, Frankie Luvu, outside linebacker, Jonathan Allen. But so it's a pretty weak depth chart. I think, I don't remember what it was. I just did my strength of schedule and I don't have it. I might have the Commanders projected as the worst defense in the NFL. I don't remember. So they're probably going to get a lot of time on the field, especially with a rookie quarterback. So I think I have him higher than other IDP guys. I sorted experts with you, and that's very possible. I am probably quite a bit higher on Chin than anybody else. It's also tough if you're using Fantasy Pros in the ECR. I don't know if you've looked. You got to make sure you're really careful in the dates there because a lot of the people haven't updated their rankings, especially with IDP. Like there's a few of us who haven't even put them in. I think I did mine once 2 weeks ago, but that's because I had a couple of IDP drafts at the expo. So mine are a little bit more up to date, but not everyone's are. But yeah, Jeremy Chin, definitely someone I like.
And just to put a bow on that, the Commanders have the Bucks and the Giants in the first 2 weeks. The Bucks, you're probably going to see a lot of stuff over the middle, and not a lot of running over the middle. So Chin looks great in week 1, week 2. The Giants are just a mess. So another good chance for Chin, especially since it's a guillotine league. So why not?
Yeah, it's a shame. The thing I have on my agenda for today was actually my I did the weeks 1 through 4 strength of schedule for offense. Defense was my on my agenda for today. I really wish I had gotten to that before the show because I could give you a better look at it. But like Jeremy said, I can guarantee you they have at least 2 or 3 ideal matchups there to start out. So I like Chin. Before we wrap it up here, anything else you noticed in this mock here, the 10-rounder for us?
Not particularly. I think your point, though, that wide receiver is, yes, it's deep, but there's a lot of question marks when you get to the 7th round, really. I think a lot of those guys in the 6th round who you see drafted there aren't exactly locked in either. Like Brian Thomas Jr., for example, has been coming on super strong. I might have to take the L on him there. And will he eat into Christian Kirk? It's possible. T. Higgins should be lights out, but we just haven't seen it in a while with injury. Keenan Allen, crowded depth chart. Terry McLaurin, who knows if Jaden Daniels going to are going to hyper target him or spread it all over the field more. So even in the 6th round, there's a lot of question marks. So in a 3 wide receiver build, I want to get my wide receivers early. Like I said, at least 2 of them. But yeah, there's a lot of running backs I like late. So I'm still going to be hammering those RBs late, which means I can get everything else early.
I worry that, like you said, wide receivers deep. I worry it's a mirage. That's why I've been getting Lamb, Hill, St. Brown, Chase. I think that's where at the end of the safety stuff, like from here on, I can find a flaw. Garrett Wilson. What if Rodgers just isn't Rodgers anymore? Justin Jefferson. I don't need to even tell you how much of a mess that team is. AJ Brown, I think, is safe. Puka. What if Cooper Kupp cuts more into his role than we thought? Drake London. What if Kirk Cousins isn't fully healthy? Blah, blah, blah. What if he doesn't, Marvin Harrison, rookie. Kyler, I feel like he's probably a little safer, but that's unknown. Devontae Adams, that team's a mess. Chris Olave, he has Captain Guyliner. Like, I feel like everyone says, let's hammer wide receiver because it's deep. But it's deep, but from 6 to 25, there's a lot of guys who could all finish 6th or 25th. They could all be landmines. Like, it's really risky. That's why I took some of the safer. Like, I think Isaiah Pacheco, James Cook, Rashad White, Joe Mixon, those guys are all safe. I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get a somewhere between RB 10 and 15 production-ish. I could get higher. These receivers, like we have team 11, Diggs, Waddle, Pickens, Cooper, Ridley. I don't know if he necessarily has a wide receiver 1. He could have 5 wide receiver 2s. He could have 5 wide receiver 3s. I don't know. Like, there aren't many safe receivers, and I get it. The nature of receivers is that they're inherently volatile to begin with, but that's why I find I've been leaning towards certain tiers and certain positions. Receiver looks deeper, but it's a mirage. And I know that's where everyone with Cooper Kupp a few years ago, we got to that sweet spot where rounds 3, 4, 5, everyone was just hammering receivers. And that's where you got your league winner. But the problem is, for every Cooper Kupp that year, there were 5 guys in that range who just were total busts. So these, we have 4 rounds here. Out of the 20 receivers, they're not all going to be wide receiver 2s. You're going to have half of them are going to be busts. Is it Pittman? Maybe. Is it DJ Moore? You could convince me it was Moore. If you're an Adunze guy, DK Metcalf, JSN could take over. Like, it's a lot riskier. These teams where the guys look and they start with like 5 or 6 receivers, they look really sexy. They are inherently the riskiest shit you will ever draft. So,
and the other thing I noticed real quick is I'm taking one of those top 6 tight ends. Like you said, it's really kind of a top 8. You could convince me it's a top 9. But the guys we always talk about, it's Laporta, Kelsey, McBride, Andrews, Kincaid, and Pitts. I want one of those 6 guys. And it looks like based here in 1 QB, you're going to have to get them in by the end of round 5. So just plan on getting one of those 6 guys. That's at least how I'm going to go about it. And then we'll see what happens with if QB value falls, great. If not, I'm okay with one of those rookies and one of those vets, like a Caleb Stafford, I think would be ideal for me in the later rounds.
Yeah, I cut it off at Ingram, but I'm also cool with Njoku or Ferguson. If I miss on them, I'm just punting. Like I don't want to use the 6th round pick on Brack Bowers because I'm probably going to have to draft another tight end later just to be sure. So, all right, I think that's a wrap. Hopefully I have 7 tight ends in my top 5. That's like everyone has 40 wide receivers in their, there's 70 wide receiver 2s apparently. So that happened. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. We're kind of winging it here on vacation. One of us is out of the country. One of us was gone to a concert. I've had family things. So hopefully we will be back tomorrow. Check back around noon. I'm sure we'll get something. Maybe we'll just run another mock. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com. We've got all our draft kit out. All of our interesting written content is over there. That's where most of my work has been going the last week or so. Thanks for joining, Jamie, as always. And thank you, everyone who participated or who tuned in. We will catch you next time. Take care.